Hey, y'all, while I'm waiting for the kids to get out of their high school rodeo prom, I figured I'd tell y'all a little poem by one of my favorites, Sunny Hancock. It's called The Horse Trade. So I traded for a horse one time. Well, he wouldn't take no beauty prize. A great big long-eared blue roan gelding, not too bad for weight or size. I had to make some tough old circles, and this trader guaranteed that this horse would show me lots of country and not too much need for rest or feed. See, he said, now, this here ain't no kid's horse, but he'll pack you up the crick. He'll bump on occasion, and he's been known to kick. Well, I wouldn't trade him to just anyone without having some remorse, but if you're sure enough a cowpuncher, mister, then he's your kind of horse. Well, I stepped on that horse the next morning, and he began to buck and bawl, and that trader maybe hadn't lied none, but he hadn't told it all. Because we sure tore up some country where he throwed that equine fit, and I almost ran out of handholds by the time he finally quit. Well, I guess that must have set a pattern, because things just never seemed to change. Although I showed him lots of country every corner of the range. But every time I'd ride that booger, why, he'd keep me sitting tight. And I knew I'd make at least 3 bronc rides before he packed me home that night. Which would have been okay with lots of horses that I'd knowed. But that old pony had my number. I just barely got him rode. The thing that really spooked me and put a damper on my pride was that horse was learning how to buck faster than I was learning how to ride. Well, I pulled into camp one evening and it was getting pretty late. And I sees this great gray horse in the corral and there's a saddle by the gate. I looked that gray horse over and I sure liked what I'd seen. Then this kid showed up from around the barn. Well, he must have been 16. He said he'd lamed that gray horse that morning coming down a granite grade. And he wondered if I had a horse I'd maybe like to trade. He said he didn't have time to stop and rest and let him heal. And since that beggars can't be choosers, well, he'd make most any kind of deal. And when a feller's trading horses, why, most anything is fair. So I traded him that blue roan for his gray horse then and there. Well, but then my conscience started hurting when I thought of what I did. To trade a fly-blown dink like that off to some little wet-nosed kid. So the next morning after breakfast, while I tells him, listen, lad, if you want to know the truth, that trade you made last night was bad. That old blue horse is a tough one, bad as any you'll ever see. He'll kick you, strike you, and stampede you. Well, he's a sorry SOB. It's all I can do to ride him, and I'll tell it to you straight. I think you'll be awfully lucky just to ride him past the gate. See, there's 2 or 3 old horses out there in the saddle bunch. Ain't got too much going for them, but I kind of got a hunch. They'll probably get you where you're going if you just don't crowd them none. But darn, I'd hate to see you ride that blue roan booger, son. Well, he said, I told you there last night I'd make most any kind of trade, and I appreciate you telling what a bad mistake I'd made. But my old daddy told me when you're trading, there's no matter how you feel, even if you take a whipping, that a deal is still a deal. That horse you say has lots of travel and he's not too bad for speed. Well, sir, I'm kind of in a tight, and that's exactly what I need. I traded for him fair and square, and damn his blue roan hide, and when I pull out of here this morning, that's the horse I'm going to ride. I watched him cinching up his saddle, and he pulled his hat down, stepped right up into the rigging like he's headed straight for town. He stuck 2 spurs up in the shoulders, got the blue roan hair a-flying, tipped his head straight back and screamed just like a hungry mountain lion. You know, I've heard lots of stories about the bucking horse ballet. I've heard of poetry in motion, but that ride I saw that day just plumb complete defied description. Though I can see it plain, like it happened in slow motion, it was branded on my brain. I don't suppose I could explain it to you, even if I tried. The only thing I can say is, by saints, that kid could ride. See, he sat there plumb relaxed, like he was laying home in bed, and every jump that pony made, that kid was half a jump ahead. When it was all over, I decided I could learn a few things still, and I said, son, I'm awfully sorry I misjudged your riding skill. Well, he just said, shucks, that's okay, mister, as he started on his way. But if you think this horse can buck, don't put your saddle on that gray. Hey, I hope you guys enjoyed it. We love you. God bless you. And as always, stay punchy, my friends.